The slope of a non-vertical line is the ratio of the vertical change, which we'll call the rise, to the horizontal change, which called the run. So the formula that we use to find the slope of a line is the symbol for slope is the little m, and it is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, or also known as the rise over the run. So the y2 and the y1 and the x2 and the x1 business comes from the two ordered pairs. So if we have two ordered pairs on a line, there's my x1 comma y1, and there's my x2 comma y2. So that's the formula we're going to use when we find the slope between 2 points. So I'm going to say m is equal to y2, 1, minus y1, which is 5. So that'll be the second y minus the first y, divided by the second x, which is 2, minus the first x, which is negative 3. So we got to be careful because sometimes we're subtracting a negative. So I'm going to start with the top, 1 minus 5, that was going to be negative 4. And 2 minus negative 3 is the same as 2 plus 3, so that would be 5. So the slope of the line that passes through those 2 points, those two ordered pairs, is negative 4/5. And if we look at a graph on the coordinate plane, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, negative 3 comma 5 is up here, and 2 comma 1 is here, and the line that goes through those 2 points looks like this. And we're going to notice that that line falls from left to right. It goes down, falls, or we could say it decreases from left to right, and that the slope is negative. So when a line decreases or falls from left to right, we say that the slope, we're going to see that the slope is negative. All right, let's do that example. Let's do another example. Find the slope of the line that passes through negative 2, negative 4, and 3 comma negative 1. So I'm going to use my slope formula. Let's label our points x1, y1, and x2, y2. y2, negative 1, minus y1, which is negative 4, divided by x2, which is 3, minus x1, which is negative 2. So minus and negative becomes plus, so we have negative 1 plus 4, which is 3, and I have minus a negative again. 3 plus 2 is 5. So the slope of the line that passes through these 2 points is 3/5. So if I would plot these two ordered pairs, there's negative 2, negative 4 there, and 3 comma negative 1 is here. And if I draw the line that connects those 2 points, I see that this line, it rises or is increasing from left to right. And also notice that the slope is positive. So we can conclude that when the slope is negative, the line will be falling or decreasing. And if the slope is positive, then the line will be rising or increasing. The line with the slope that rises from left to right has a positive slope, and a line with a negative slope will fall from left to right. And we also know that if a line has a slope that is 0, then the line is horizontal. Let's highlight that. Let's highlight that. A line with a slope of 0 is horizontal, and a line with an undefined slope is vertical. So what's the difference between 0 and undefined? If I would find the slope and I would get a 0 divided by a number, that's 0. So that would mean that the line is horizontal. But if I would find my slope and I would get 5 divided by 0, we know we can't divide by 0, so that would be an undefined slope. So that would mean that the line is vertical. So without graphing, we can tell whether, knowing all this, we can tell whether the line that goes through the points 2 comma negative 1 and 2 comma 5 rises, falls, is horizontal or vertical. There's an L missing there. So I'm going to find the slope that passes through these 2 points. Label our points x1, y1, and x2, y2. So I'm going to say y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So I get 5 plus 1, which is 6, divided by 0. 6 divided by 0 is undefined. 0 is the only number we can't divide by. So 6 divided by 0 is an undefined slope. So that means that undefined slope means that our line is vertical. If the slope would have been 0, then the line would be horizontal. Another thing we know about slope is that it affects the steepness of our line. So if the line is, if the slope is bigger, as the slope gets bigger, the line gets steeper. The slope, so we can use that to tell which line is steeper. Steeper means bigger slope. So let's find the slope of line 1, and then we can find the slope of line 2. So I'm going to do m equals 7 minus 3 divided by 4 minus 2. So that would be 4 over 2, which is 2. Okay, that's a positive slope. And then I'm going to find the slope of line 2. Let's see, 5 minus 2 divided by 4 minus negative 1. So that would be 3 over 5, which is definitely smaller than 2. So line 1, we'll say line 1 is steeper because it has a bigger slope. So the bigger the slope, the steeper the line. Okay, and then lastly, two lines, let's highlight. Looks like we need to highlight again. Two lines are parallel if and only if they have the same slope. And two lines are perpendicular if and only if their slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. So let's go over to the side and make sure we know what it means to be a negative reciprocal. So two lines are going to be parallel if their slopes are the same. But two lines will be perpendicular if their slopes are negative reciprocals. So we know the negative reciprocal of 1/5 would be negative 5 over 1. So the way that you find the negative reciprocal is that you make the fraction negative, or if it's negative, make it positive. So change the sign, and then flip the fraction. So the negative reciprocal of 3/2 would be negative 2 over 3. And lastly, let's do one more. The negative reciprocal of negative 2 would be positive. So I'm going to change the sign to be positive and flip the fraction. So since 2 over 1 is 2 over 1, 2 is 2 over 1, I'm going to make it positive 1/2. Okay, so it says tell whether the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Okay, so we've got line 1 passing through 2 points and then line 2 passing through 2 points. So let's find the slope of line 1. And then we'll find the slope of line 2, and then we'll determine whether they are parallel or perpendicular or neither one. So we're going to say m is equal to negative 1 minus 3 over 3 minus negative 3. So that would be negative 4 over 6, which is negative 2/3. So the slope of line 1 is negative 2/3. So let's see about line 2. The slope of line 2 is, we're going to do y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So minus a negative becomes plus, so we get 6 over 4, which is positive 3 over 2. So I've got line 1 has a slope of negative 2 over 3. Line 2 has a slope of positive 3 over 2. And I noticed that those two numbers are not the same. So the two lines are definitely not parallel. But the two lines are perpendicular because negative 2 over 3 and positive 3 over 2 are negative reciprocals of each other. So we're going to say that these two lines are perpendicular.